Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my next challenge series for Age of Wonders 3. And for this, this challenge will be a 2-unit challenge where I purposefully only allow myself to have and use 2 military units for the entire duration of the game. And so, of course, the first military unit will have to be your leader, as you got to keep the leader alive, right? And then the second one, I thought about whether I would want to swap out who the second one is over the course of the game. Like as soon as I can get a T5 or something like that, would I want to swap that in for the second slot because they could benefit from experience gain and continue to increase their HP. But I thought that was too statistically risky, and so I have made the decision that my strategy will be to stick with the first hero unit that offers to join. So it'll be my leader and then the first hero unit who offers to join during the campaign. And so those will be my 2 units that I will use and seek to increase experience on as quickly as possible, etc. So again, other stipulations for this is I can use non-military units like builders. That won't violate the rule set because builders are nice for building watchtowers and fortresses to capture resources, some exploration, and allowing one to stay parked in headquarters so that you can mail out item forge items to your heroes in the field. I think that's pretty essential to have that. So you can use builders. In this rule set, like most of my challenge series, I am not allowing myself to use settlers at all, since AI are not very good at that and humans are much better. So I'm not going to allow myself to use settlers. So by definition, the only non-military units I'll be making use of will be builders. And of course, I will have to avoid tough battles until my 2 units are leveled up enough and have good enough items to survive tougher battles. So it's going to be taking a lot of easy structures that have just 3 opponents that I can kite around and survive, particularly early game, until my 2 heroes improve. So it's about keeping them alive, trying to gain resources, trying to get the item forge going so I can forge excellent items and get them to them, especially lifesteal and tireless combinations of items, which allow you to chew through a lot of enemy troops. So that is the plan. Just try and keep them alive, gain experience, get them good items, and use smart specializations to be able to know where I need to go. I am, like most of my challenge series, going to be facing a team of 5 allied AI Emperor level opponents that are selected randomly for me. And I am using both the Golden Realms and Eternal Lords expansions. And I should mention too that I am using some quality of life mods that don't change the mechanics or the nature of the game. So I'm using like turn order first mod and a clouds begone mod, so I don't have the annoying clouds in the way when I'm looking from a high level viewpoint. So in my Steam guide, which you can see the link to below, which is a lot about how to use Draconian Necromancer particularly well, I have advice guides for all of my past challenge series, and we'll have one for this series as well. So check out that Steam guide for more info about the nature of this challenge and my tips for it. And what else do we need to talk about? I'm going to show you the typical map settings that I use that will remain true for this. So let's talk about that. So new random map, I've already preset it up. Me versus 5 AI opponents, Emperor level, large, land, normal. AI does better with land. Under advanced, surface and underground, makes it tougher to cover. Default, far distance to allow the AI as much time to snowball as possible before encountering me. Average roads, few roaming units because it tends to stifle the AI and few treasures because humans are better at using treasures than AI. Many cities to allow the AI to snowball, average, 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 and then treasure structures given that humans use treasures better on their heroes will do fewer of those too. Again, this setting can make it more difficult for a human opponent. So like all my past challenge series, I'll have these in effect. For this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 AI level Emperor AIs versus me. Classic turns, customized leaders, which I've already set mine up, so I'll show you them. Advanced, standard, normal, default, never, of course, normal, medium, and the defaults of 5 and 15. I was tempted to raise this since I'm only going to have 2 units, and both of them would be hero level, but I decided to keep it at the normal level of 15 just to make it challenging for me. City founding is off again, so that I can't produce settlers to rebuild raised cities. And the rest of that stuff was normal. So let's go ahead and show you who I will be playing. So for this one, I thought carefully about what race class combinations would be a good fit for this. And I think that a Warlord Dwarf is the best fit. And I will talk more about that here, I guess. I can do that now. So why Warlord Dwarf? For me, it comes down to a few things. If I'm only going to be able to use these 2 heroes as military units, that has some strong implications for what sort of strategies are going to work, what sort of classes and races would be better or worse. When it comes, let's talk about race first. So when it comes to race and the racial bonuses, I thought that the dwarfs +1 defense, +1 resistance, and 20% blight protection would be really useful on the leader. So that's why I think that outweighs the other potential benefits. I thought about Draconian for some fire protection, especially if I find myself versus dreadnoughts, as well as the 10 casting point bonus at the 3rd race governance upgrade, which I really like. I've used a lot of Draconian in the past, and so, but I ultimately thought that the defense and resistance would be better. I also thought about Orc because of the +5 HP, +1 melee, and the victory rush ability to help keep my HP up early in the game, but again, I don't like the -1 resistance. I think that can really hurt. So that's why I chose Dwarf. And then I thought carefully about a few different classes. And I have opted for Warlord because their abilities for combat are phenomenal. Last Stand to double the bonus of defending, Phoenix Warrior, so that if one of the 2 heroes is likely to fall during battle, I can cast Phoenix Warrior to make sure they'll get right back up without losing them. Death March for quick movement in certain cases. Since I'm only going to have a single stack of 2 units, having them be able to cover more ground is really smart, I think. Dread Siege helps level the playing field if you're doing a tough siege. What else? Bloodbath for that melee attack bonus is excellent if I can get to uncovering that spell. Lion's Courage for the spirit protection from Strong Will, plus the additional melee damage is excellent, and it stacks with Bloodbath, which is amazing. And then Steadfast Ward if someone's close to death, and even if you have them Phoenix Warrior, you want them to stay alive for 2 more turns at 1 HP. Steadfast Ward can help with that. So they're all amazing combat spells. And when you need to like really beef up, really buff only 1 or 2 units who have to do all the work against big enemy armies, these are excellent spells to help really beef up a single unit. Talked about Dread Siege. For the draft provides a happiness buff, which could be useful for getting crits. Conqueror's Feast for the happiness debuff on enemy cities. Potentially hero slaying, potentially, if I think that will be a priority. For Empire upgrades, the Conqueror for the 50% more XP gain, that will be useful if I can get it really early. If not, it will be useless since I'm only getting XP up to level 15 cap. The War Effort Empire upgrade for 10 gold per city. I'm not going to be holding a lot of cities because I can't defend them, because I can't build units to defend them. I have to keep my 2 units moving. So I'm either going to have a bunch of vassals where they're defending themselves, and so I'm getting a small trickle of resources. Or because I think it's only going to basically be like my headquarters city, my capital city, that I will outright own and will leave undefended, because hopefully I will clear the space around the city enough that no wandering stack will have the possibility of stumbling into it, because I need to keep it undefended, have a builder in there sending out item forge items every turn that I'm rushing. But War Effort is useful for gold. In Warfare, of course, for additional casting points, that will be essential. I need to use a lot of casting points during battle to let my 2 units survive. Thoroughbred Mounts is amazing. I think it's like plus 15 HP for mounted units. Both of my hero units are mounted. So plus 15 HP is a huge, huge boost to their HP pool. So just really strong combat spells, decent strategic spells, and some strong Empire upgrades as well. And then you can see here why I'm thinking about Adept of Earth, Master of Earth, and Explorer. I've used Explorer the last few challenges. I should have used them for all of them. I only kind of discovered how amazing this was because Master Cartographer lets you see the entire map. It doesn't lift Fog of War, but you see the entire map, so you know where everybody's capital is. And you can use that to take a guess about where their leaders may have gone. So you can be really super efficient with your movement, which is essential if you only have 2 units trying to cover an entire map. You have to be efficient with hunting down capitals and killing leaders. And I've learned not to kill capitals before finding leaders, usually, because if you kill a capital and then kill a leader, but the capital sprung up somewhere else, it can make for a lot of inefficiency of movement. So it's just the information from Master Cartographer, which is the capstone spell for Explorer specialization, phenomenal, which I've talked about in the past challenge series. And by the way, if you haven't seen my past challenge series, I've done challenge series. My last one was where I used only Orc Spearmen to do all my battles, which was a lot of fun, very macro focused game. And then I've done like weak starting army only, which really pales in comparison to this challenge I'm about to start. Single stack challenge, similar to that. Heroes only challenge, which this one I'm about to do is like a super intense version, just 2 heroes. Whereas with that hero only challenge, I ended with like 23 heroes through ghouling. It's kind of interesting. And then I did a 40 turn head start campaign a long time ago, as well as a 20 turn head start, etc. And the 40 turn head start to this day is still the hardest challenge I've ever done. Although this might take the cake because only being able to use 2 units is pretty crazy. But at any rate, let's talk more about why those specializations. So I think Earth Adept is excellent because Stoning is a strong damage dealing spell. I think I need that in battle. I think the Stoning is really good damage. Stone Skin for the +3/+5 is also really strong for keeping a hero alive, though it does cut movement a bit. And so I think that's excellent. I was thinking Master for Earth Adept as well for the slow ability, since I really loved Stiffen Limbs when I played Necromancer, but I won't be Necromancer this time, and Stiffen Limbs really makes it easier to kite enemy units during starting battles, earlier battles, and I won't have that, so I don't know how this is going to go, but we're going to see. And then Earthquake, since I'm going to hopefully get flying units, Earthquake would be a really good way to do some crowd control damage during big siege battles when I would be immune to that because of floating or flying. So that's why I was thinking about these things. So yeah, that's the thinking behind the specializations. And so for this, because it is only your leader and your starting and that your first hero, it's going to be really tough, and I don't expect necessarily to win the first time. I think it just really depends, and like if I can face a lot of classes that are flesh based, then I can really take advantage of the lifesteal tireless mechanic and get really far with that. The more dreadnoughts and theocrats and necromancers I face, the harder it's going to be, since lifesteal does not function well against machines or undead. And it's, I don't know, I just hope the 5 enemy AI opponents I get selected are not those types. I hope it's more like warlords and archdruids and stuff like that. So, but we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, that's the setup. So I'm going to go ahead and get us rolling here. So this has been episode 1, and I'll see you for turn 1 in episode 2.